coordinator Joe Woods.
You're down, Beau.
Can
you guys hear it?
You can see him checking with the line of scrimmage.
Good to go.
You know, he'll use signals. I'm not big on that, just kind of play ball, but they are giving him some stuff to do at the line, for sure.
We know Greedy had that big interception, but how did you think he played overall for his first really extended action in a couple of years?
Yeah, he's definitely getting better. You can see the progress he's making in practice. I'm always watching him, this DB guy, looking at his technique. So everything's tightening up for him. I think his confidence is really good. And I think that was the matchups was a good game for him to play, just to give him that confidence moving forward.
Kevin said Greg's out this week, but do you feel good about Denzel and Troy being able to go?
Yes.
Did you consider that a more impressive defensive performance than the Bears game?
Really, I'm just happy we won. I'm going into it, that was a tough game. You could see what they were doing in the running game with Delvin Cook. They had the skill players. You had to match up against outside, and Kirk Cousins was doing a great job. I don't think he had any interceptions going into the game. So, getting out of there with a win, it was tough the way we started, but then we settled down. That was big for us defensively.
Joe, is your trust in Jeremiah growing by the week?
Yes.
What's he done well over the last couple of weeks that's made that happen?
Everything. Just to be honest.
Yeah.
No, I think he's playing well in the run game. When he makes decisions, he makes them fast, and we say he shoots his gun. And then in the pass game, you can see his ability out in space just to make plays, whether he's in coverage or whether he's just making an open field tackle. So, we're doing the same, just systematically, just giving him a little bit more each week. Don't want to put too much on him, but he's definitely earned the right to get some more defenses.
Hey Joe, what effect have your D tackles had? Malik Jackson down
A lot.
The past couple of games.
A lot. I think when you have the ability to rush off the edge like we do, you really want to have that inside push so there's no step-up lanes for the quarterback. It also helps you in terms of running pass rush games, just their ability to set picks and run different things. So they've really helped just with their presence inside and what they're able to do.
Along those lines, is Malik J the perfect guy for Malik M, since he's kind of been around the block a few times?
Yes. And I was with Malik in Denver. He was there with Vaughn and DeMarcus Ware and Chubb and those guys. Or he left before Chubb got there. But just the ability to work with guys like that and just to figure out, what games to use, how to communicate. And he's a guy that he's learned from being around those guys just to really help the younger guys or the new guys with what we're trying to do.
Hey Joe, outside looking in, you guys had that historic performance against the Bears, but it was a rookie quarterback. We all wonder,
right.
Is this something you guys can replicate or keep the momentum going?
Right.
So, what do you think that you guys showed yourselves against the Vikings? They were rolling on offense headed in. It was at their place. Do you think that did something for the overall confidence?
For sure. I think, the game against Chicago, it's just one of those games. I haven't been involved in many games like that. Probably won't be involved in many after that, just like 1 yard and all that stuff. But I think to come back the next week and play against a really good football team and be consistent, just in terms of executing and making plays, I think that's what's going to provide a lot of confidence. And when you can see him stack that back-to-back weeks, now you go into this third week and say, hey, let's continue with what we're doing. I think the guys really buy in and believe in what we're trying to get done.
Joe, the Chargers have two pretty tall wide receivers in Allen and Williams. Is there anything, I know Gree's a little taller for a corner. Is there anything you emphasize this week just facing bigger wide receivers?
No, you just understand what their strengths are. I faced those guys when I was in Denver, so I saw them twice a year. So I know who they are. I feel confident in our matchups, but it's going to be tough. We're going to have to be on top of it technique-wise. We're going to have the ability to make the plays on the 50-50 balls down the field, and those guys do a great job in space, just in terms of getting yards after contact. So we're going to have to do really everything well to play good against them.
In this past game, the big dive, we've been seeing it more and more. Unfortunately, Ronnie then had to leave the game, so it was more grand. Just specifically about that, is that where you would like it to be right now, or is there even more to get to?
There's more. Yeah, for sure. There's more. But again, you just want to introduce things slowly. We put a couple different personnel packages on the field. We have a couple more left. But you really want to try to dictate the matchups in the game, and that's what I like about it. I think we have flexibility at the nickel position. We have flexibility at the dime position in terms of what we want to create. So we'll continue to do that, but we won't put too much on their plate.
Are there signs to you that turnovers are about to happen?
I'm hoping. You know what I mean? That's an area that we definitely have to improve. I think some of the other areas we're getting better, but for whatever reason, I mean, I know we got a lot of sacks, but you want to turn over the ball. You want to take it away because it changes the game. And we haven't been able to do that in practice.
This is a guy that hadn't played a football game for 4 years.
Right.
Does that make it even more impressive that he's starting for you guys and making an impact?
Yeah, that says a lot about him. He's come a long way, and he's a sponge. You know, and having those veteran guys around him helps him. Whether it's Malik Jackson or your Miles, just all those guys just giving him advice on what to do, how to prepare, the ability to communicate with him on the field because he's picking things up, you know, and they help him out. But it's very impressive what he's been able to do, just his limited time, really just playing football, getting back into football.
And then you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought maybe Denzel was trying to do too much. Kind of from where we were sitting, it looked like that might have been his best game on Sunday of the season. Is that a good assessment?
Yeah, I think he had 4 targets and he had 3 plays, 3 PBUs. The one down the field, he has to play a little bit better technically, but he made the same play later on. And, you know, by saying he's doing too much, I think when you press and you try to make plays, if you just execute your technique, then the plays will come. And that was the biggest thing just talking to him is just worry about your technique and you'll be in position to make plays.
How did Anthony look yesterday, his first day back? Walker?
He looked good. You know, he was probably a little winded, just a little bit. But, you know, we're smart about how many reps we try to give those guys as they come back. And we'll do that in terms of the game. You know, we'll put a number on them just so, you know, in the game, that, you know, the tempo, you're sticking your foot in the ground, the acceleration's a little bit faster. So we'll make sure we're careful with that. But in terms of understanding the defense, being the quarterback of the defense, he just fell right back where he was at before he left or before he got injured.
When the front 4 guys were getting home, or sometimes you were rushing 3 and they were still getting some pretty significant pressure, how much does that change for you as the caller there? How much does that change what you do as far as your game plan goes?
Yeah, it's nice to have that. You know, when you can get home, and it depends on what they're trying to do offensively. In terms of their protection schemes, you know, chip protection, max protection, you know, sometimes you have to bring pressure to try to get them off of that. So it just depends what they're doing offensively, but I like having the ability to play coverage or to bring pressure. It just makes you feel good and gives you a lot of flexibility.
Very good. Thanks, Joe.
All right. We're out of here. I'll see you guys.
Going up.
All right, there you go. Joe Woods at the podium this afternoon to kick off the program. This is a fun challenge for his defense. It's a major
big challenge.
It is. This Chargers team, though, while they have moved it up and down, first couple of weeks struggled putting it in the paint.
Yep.
You know, they have not played a defense this good, and I think we can hang with anybody defensively in the entire league. I think we're going to end up being about as good as anybody in the league by the time all is said and done. I think Owusu-Koramoah, Delpit continue to evolve. Remember, last week's performance without Anthony Walker, without Greg Newsome, those guys eventually will come back. It starts up front, and I think it's going to be a problem for that Chargers offensive line. Slater's been unbelievable, the rookie out of Northwestern, but they are vulnerable in other spots, and I think they're going to be around Herbert a lot. This is the strength, and our offense is really good too, but and their defense is pretty good. They're playmakers. So these are 2 really good teams, but this is the one that I'm fascinated to see how we match up with a team like them.
Well, they got excellent receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Williams big, Keenan Allen the master technician, route runner extraordinaire. You've got the big tight end and Jared Cook, who is a real valuable chess piece and a guy who everywhere he's gone, and he kind of bounces around the league, but is a productive pass catcher everywhere he goes. And then there's Austin Eckler, and we talked about yesterday. He's averaging 5.7 yards per carry. The other 2 running backs on the team are combined averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Combined. So 2.2, 2.3. He is elite, and he's elite out of the backfield. He's already got, I think, 15 receiving touchdowns in his career. So it is going to be a challenge, but I think there's going to have to be a storm of brewing on Storm Norton, the right tackle. He has been the weak link. He, along with left guard Matt Filer, though have been the weak link on that line. You know, Rashawn Slater protecting the blind side against Miles or Clowney. That's going to be interesting to see.
He's still a rookie. I mean, he's been great, but he's still a rookie.
Absolutely. But one thing that they did in the game against the Raiders, they often brought in a 6th offensive lineman to put next to Storm to deal with Max Crosby. That's taking somebody out of
routes,
out of the offense, basically. So you welcome that. And we have the difference between us and the Raiders is that we have many, many more pass rushers than the Raiders do. The Raiders, kind of like the Chargers, where it's Bosa in the 20 pressure range, nobody else in double digits. We got 5 guys in double digits.
Yeah.
And so we're going to need to be disruptive up front to deal with this offense because it is good. And anytime you go and you beat the Chiefs, now the Chiefs turned it over 4 times in that game. That's true, but the Chargers took it away 4 times. Asante Samuel Jr.'s got 2 picks already this season. You need to put pressure on Herbert, otherwise he will make you pay, and he's becoming one of the best, what I would call big money players, and that's third downs. He's a great third down quarterback.
He stands in there, man.
And it's easy. It all just looks easy. Very effortless.
Yeah, it is. He's been awfully impressive. This is a weekend, guys, in the National Football League in the AFC where the 4 teams I think most people think are the 4 best all play. We get a look at the Chargers, and I think most people probably, despite the Chiefs having a 2-2 record, would say that the Chiefs and the Bills right now are the 2 you got to beat those 2 teams to win the AFC. They play as well. That's the Sunday nighter, I believe. So theoretically, you'll go our game. I want to say that Sunday night is Chiefs and Bills. You'll be able to. It is right. Yeah. So you go us right into that one.
What a game!
You're not gonna beat that. Going those 2 games back to back.
No.
So you're going to get a good look at the pecking order in the AFC by the time we're all done on Sunday night late.
Sad we're going to miss that.
I won't.
You won't.
I'll be all right.
I'll be in the air.
Yeah, you will be. So what's a return on that for you guys? What is that, like a 2 a.m. situation?
Yeah.
2, 3 in the morning?
Yeah.
Probably closer to 3 because don't forget, we have to load the plane. We're not trucking anything.
And that takes a long time. Takes a lot longer than you'd think to get out of the stadium, to get onto the plane.
Oh, no, I
imagine
it would be. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be done until
I bet you'll
be 8 o'clock local by the 8 o'clock here. So that's
the one thing our pilots do very well on our charter is put the hammer down on the flight home.
Yeah,
and we'll have a tailwind.
Love the wind.
We do have the advantage. We're 405 versus 425. That matters.
That's huge.
That's a huge. Yeah. That's a huge difference. So
we're not National Game of the Week.
No,
we'll be done 7.
What is
30ish? So bus leave stadium 9, plane 10, plus 5. Yeah, I think 3 is probably pretty good.
Yep.
Yeesh.
What's over us on National Game of the Week?
I think it might be a Fox week.
In the afternoon?
Yeah, 4:25.
Niners Cardinals.
Niners Cardinals is your game of the week. National.
It's not a bad game.
Wow. I mean, so this is a regional telecast. That's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
These 2 teams is regional. That's tough.
I'm hoping they're going with Niners Cardinals. The other option is Giants Cowboys. Which
they may go there.
They might.
NFC East. I bet you they go there.
I don't think so. I think
if you have a chance to put the Dallas Cowboys on television,
where's Buck Aikman? That's
they're
the
3-1.
We should know that by now.
Yeah, Buck Aikman. I bet you they're Cowboys Giants.
Cardinals are 4-0.
I agree.
Does Buck have MLB? That probably goes right into MLB Sunday night.
I don't know. Is that start already for Fox? Last night's game was on Turner, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
I grew up a Dodgers fan, so I'll talk about it if we want. Little of this.
Who's Gibbe's?
Good news. Beau's off the air.
No.
Oh,
See,
Beau's mic is off.
I was doing just fine with you.
Oh, Beau's
until
off.
you did that.
All they do is do this. Just walk them off. Me acting like I'm invested. I haven't watched a pitch all summer. I can't get it. 2 straight years baseball. I just don't have I don't have the time for it. I did watch the game last night, up until 11, and then that was so I did not see the walk off. But I watched about 7. I was about to the 8th inning in a 1-1 game. Did you find the Buck Aikman game yet?
Giants Cowboys.
Told you.
Wow, that's outrageous. You have an unbeaten and Kyler.
It's gold. It's Cowboys.
It's East Coast.
It's East Coast. It's Cowboys. Yeah. It's 4 o'clock. Yeah, and it's the Giants. Those are monster numbers.
East Coast bias.
Well, Cowboys bias. The other thing about it is
they weren't sold on Arizona. That's why Arizona wasn't. That's why they're not the 425.
No, it's the Cowboys, Gibby. You know it's the Cowboys. If you can put the Cowboys on TV, you put them on TV. It's just that simple. They deliver. It's just like when the Brady Belichick game last Sunday was the highest rated Sunday Night Football game since like 2010. And I'm going, gee, it's been a long time. And I'm like, gosh, what Sunday Night Football game would be bigger than that? It had to be, was it Favre going back to Green Bay? Was it, something like that, playing with the Vikings? No. It was Cowboys and at the time Redskins because the winner won the NFC East. So it was a poo-poo platter NFC East game. Neither of those teams were going anywhere, but it was for the NFC East championship, and that was the highest rated. They are a monster brand.
Last Thursday's game was the highest Thursday night game since Baker's debut.
How about that?
Ratings-wise.
What was the Thursday nighter last week?
Jacksonville,
Bengals.
Cincinnati.
Really?
The NFL's a machine right now. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I know. I saw someone on social pushing this around about how the NFL ratings are declining. I'm like,
no, they're not.
No, they're not.
In
No,
fact,
exactly.
opposite. I think Albright retweeted it.
Quite the
And
opposite.
I'm going, actually, if this is the opposite of truth, yes. Yes,
What's
that
the
would
real
be the opposite.
truth?
The real truth is that they are quite good, the NFL ratings, and it's not even really close in terms. There's not even there's not another entity that's in the same vicinity across any medium that's in the vicinity of the NFL when it comes to viewership. That is one of the most remarkable marketing jobs in the history of sport. Is Tex Schramm America's team? It's stunning. Because it's not like they have the championships at the time when he's doing that. They won a couple of Super Bowls. They played in a lot. They had Staubach. He was a Navy guy. All of that, and they did it.
Was
and
the
they
show
branded
Dallas
it.
going on at the time?
That was later. That was
later.
in the '80s. I mean, that was
What a show.
What a show. Yeah. I mean, but it all worked. I mean, it was this everything that he did. He's a marketing genius.
Well, people are going to look back and say when we coined the phrase "world's team,"
that's right.
We're smarter because now we're not excluding.
Yeah, we don't want to
other
limit
countries.
ourselves.
We're huge in Australia.
To America.
We're so big.
Yeah.
It's
Europe
a continent,
too.
by the way.
Fantastic continent. Fantastic continent. Lots to get to on the program today. Who do you go one-on-one? Is it Malik? This is one we look forward to.
It's awesome. I think people are going to really enjoy
I pushed
this.
it up so we had time to react.
Okay. All right. So that's at 2:00. You'll get that. We got some around the league. We'll go behind enemy lines here from Brandon Staley, the coach of the Chargers, who 3 years ago was coaching John Carroll.
Yep. Defensive
He
coordinator.
was a D coordinator at John Carroll. Now he's coaching. That's unbelievable. So we'll get to that over the course of the program as well. Alex Van Pelt, you'll hear from our offensive coordinator. You hear from Odell Beckham Jr. as well.
I got a little something at the end of the show too.
Oh,
we got to devote more than 60 seconds to the
So there
last
is still
segment.
so much more coming up.
There is going to be so much more to come.
All right, so much more to come. We're off and running on a Thursday. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Gambling without setting limits on how much you're going to wager or how long you'll play is like a football team going into a game without a game plan. It's probably going to end up in a loss. So always set limits before you bet. Get more tips like this at keepitfunohio.com. Ian Rappaport with this morning in regard to our quarterback. Quarterback Baker Mayfield has been wearing a shoulder harness to play, suffered a partially torn labrum in his left shoulder on September 19th against the Texans. Sources say no surgery needed as of now. He was listed on the report after the injury and hasn't missed a practice snap. Per rap sheet, he'll continue to play through the ailment. Baker was on social yesterday as well. He had his media availability. Look, I don't know. I feel like we brought this up last week on the show about the injury and about how that would affect accuracy. And we've talked about it a lot. It's not like we had any knowledge of him having anything like this, but he mentioned that playing with the harness yesterday and his availability. And when you are an NFL quarterback, you throw with your entire body. And it's part of it. Now, it's one of those things. I'm not a doctor, nor did I say at Holiday Inn Express, but I don't imagine it's going to get better.
No, Rapport's actually on McAfee, and he said he's got a partially torn labrum in his left side, and this injury is not going to get better this season, and so it's going to be something that he's going to have to deal with. I imagine at some point he will be able to take the harness off. It's something like Josh Allen has experienced this and saw a little dip in his completion percentage after the injury, but then it bounced back in about 3 weeks or so. For Baker, look, I feel like we're almost having the discourse about a 1-3 or 0-4 Cleveland Browns team that is losing because of their quarterback. Now, people could say, and rightfully so, the last couple of weeks we won not because of Baker Mayfield, but that's fine. We won. They all count the same. And Baker played his best game, ironically, in our one loss, which was against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think I think we all just need to pump the brakes a little bit and calm down. Yes, the action hasn't been there. He is obviously well aware of it, that he hasn't played at the level he wants to. Alex Van Pelt, who we'll hear from, has said, we expect him to be better. I think he will be better. But we're acting the discussion about him right now is as if we're losing every game. And I understand you want to see him play at an elite level like he did at the end of last season, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like he did against Kansas City. Like he did against Kansas City. I mean, it feels like a long time ago that he was leading the league in completion percentage, second in yards per attempt, all of those things through 2 games. And now, it hasn't been there the last couple of weeks. I'm sure that, we're going to do everything that can be done to improve these things and getting on the same page and making some of those easy throws. That's the funny thing is, and that's why it hurts, but good quarterbacks miss easy throws too. But had he made a couple of those easy throws, all of a sudden you're talking about a productive day, multiple passing touchdowns, big yardage. It just didn't happen. He just didn't hit those throws. People miss shots in basketball that are good. Yeah. Golfers that are very good miss shots. But it can't become a consistent problem. And I think that's the fear. And you want to say that, all right, if the shoulder's for accuracy, I still want to see you reading the field right. I still want to see your decision-making should not be impacted by this.
Right.
And so that's where I think you're going to look. We're a quarter into the season. He played his best football, after the first quarter a year ago. And so hopefully that's a trend that kind of continues. But it's obvious, it's plain as day, that his performance has gone down since the injury.
Yes. Yeah, and we've been talking about it on this show for a couple of weeks that's been the case, and that it was something. And by the way, there's also a lesson in that, because let's remember, and this is something. Unfortunately for Six, it's a lesson that's going to be painful to learn, both physically and mentally, because let's remember how this injury took place. It was him tackling after an interception and throwing his shoulder into a tackle.
Yep.
And Kareem Hunt said, "Don't do that. I'll do that."
Yep.
And Baker had the funny line, "Well, I didn't see you," right? So this is a lesson. This is, what did Joe Thomas say about Jason Peters on the block? It's a carcass block. That's you need your quarterback to carcass tackle.
That's right.
Just lay on the ground, make them jump. Like you don't need to do anything more than that. Yeah, yes. You don't need to do anything more than that. And unfortunately for Bake, it's something that he's going to have to deal with this year, is that this is going to be a part of his season. It happened very early in the season. He will learn to play with it. There will be adjustments. If he's wearing a harness, he said he did. So that's something that you'll have to adjust to and get more used to as the season goes along. I also think that there is a segment of, I think, 2 things. One, social media is not reality. And I think especially for these younger guys that are in their 20s who have grown up on phones and on social media, the feeling almost is that it is reality. Well, it's not. This isn't something that everybody's talking about. It's something that's being talked about in Brown's Twitter and by a segment of Brown's Twitter and a relatively small segment of Brown's Twitter, Brown's social media. And so I think that's one thing that's hard for some of these guys to understand is that social media is not a direct reflection of society at large, and that most people aren't talking about this. I think that the other thing is that there is a certain faction of our fan base or the people surrounding it who this hasn't gone well for a lot of years. It's good now, but it's almost like how do you cover something that's good? How do you talk about something that's good? You're so used to complaining about it. It was like we talked about this summer when people would ask me, longtime Clevelanders would say, well, what do you think of I think you're a Super Bowl contender. I think you're one of the 5 best rosters in the NFL. Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Well, why? It's okay.
It's okay.
You are. It's so interesting because when I got done watching the game on Sunday, first of all, I was jacked. And then I'm thinking to myself, that's awesome. We just beat a damn good offense that scored on the very first possession and did not score again.
Another point.
And we did not play that well offensively. We can be a lot better.
Yeah.
And we won.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot easier to learn in winning. Learning amidst winning is easy. That's easy stuff. You lose that game, this has a totally different feel. You didn't. You're good enough that even when your offense is not clicking the way that it will be by the time we're all said and done, and by the way, revolving door at left tackle, Jarvis Landry's not back. All of these things are factors as well. And you win despite it. Man, that's good. I'll take that.
We're a quarter of the way into the season. We're 3-1, and we haven't played close to a complete 60-minute game on both sides of the ball yet. All 3 phases. Has not happened. Week 1, offense elite, defense not great, special teams. Defense actually was fair week 1. I'd actually say that they were just fine.
I thought the defense was more. Yeah, that's
special
all you can
teams
expect.
had a big blunder. Week 2, we were mediocre, I think, in all respects, but go on to win by double digits against the Texans. Week 3, dominant defense. Week 4, dominant defense. We have not played a complete game yet.
No.
And that's on the table. Now it's going to take the next couple of weeks. This game, Arizona, you're going to have to play close to at least complete games to beat these teams. These are good teams. Arizona's not lost yet this year.
No.
Now, the Minnesota team that you just beat and shut down, by the way, hung 30 on them, 30, and should have had a field goal, should have won that game.
Should have won it, yep.
So everybody's beatable in the NFL. That's what I think is interesting about this year's NFL is that the top 10 teams, I think, are all legitimate Super Bowl contenders and all could lose to anybody in that group. Like, that would be a fascinating tournament right now because there isn't a clear dominant team in the league.
Well, I think it's the largest swath of teams we've had in a very long time who I think are capable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think you could get upwards of 10, 11 teams that you could see in a circumstance who could win the Super Bowl. So we haven't had that in a long time. We haven't had anything like that. So we have real parity atop the league. You're gonna have a lot of teams in the post. You're gonna have 14 teams making the postseason, of course, again this year. So you have that. You're one of them.
That's right.
You're one of those teams, right?
Yeah.
You got a great defense that's only going to get better. You have the best offensive line in the NFL. You have the best running backs in the NFL. All the rest of this stuff is going to work itself out. Take a deep breath and understand where you're at. Understand where you're at. This isn't panic time. Far from it. Far, far from it.
Yeah, and that's why it's a good position to be where we are. Do we want to see more? Of course. Do we want to see that complete game? Yes. But it's just as I said 2 weeks ago. I'd be panicking if our defense was playing like this and it was December. Guess what? In 2 weeks now, where's everybody crying about the defense?
Yeah.
It's gone.
It's gone.
So right now it's all about we're worried about the offense.
That kind of accentuates the point that there is there's a lot of people that are comfortable in the misery.
Yes, sky is falling.
2 weeks ago where Joe Woods can't coordinate a defense.
Yeah, people are calling for
Joe Woods. Well, wait. We're on this show going, wait a second. Do you watch football? Are you aware with what he's trying to do here? Right? And now how do you like him now?
Now he needs to do his press conferences with Cheste Gibbe as like his second.
What's the line Affleck says in the kind of the Glengarry Glen Ross knockoff scene where he has the cabriolet Ferrari? How you like me now?
How you like them apples?
No, that's Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting is a great movie.
I think he says, "How do you like me now?" in Good Will Hunting too.
I require fees for any kind of showing how to handle press conferences.
So Joe Wood said to you, "Hey Gibbe, will you come stand behind me in Cheste Gibbe attire for free while I do my press conferences?" You're saying no.
I mean, I might be able to work something out.
That's Cheste Gibbe about being Cheste Gibbe.
I like that.
I like
Just
it.
saying,
I like where that is.
I need fees.
I try not to do things for free.
Just I want people to remember.
I've only done like 5 things for free this week already, so that's neither here nor there.
How much did you get compensated? Never mind. You did get cards and a gummy. People need to remember these
What a
seasons.
great line out of you.
I'm gonna
If people
cut
can
that
understand
up and
how
send it
good
to
that
everybody.
joke is, unfortunately, it's an audience of 3. But
We
for
enjoyed
those
it.
of us,
I
that was
enjoyed it.
really well
I
timed
felt
and
pretty-
well played.
I felt pretty.
Yeah,
I
that
felt
was
proud
very,
of it.
very good. Go ahead, as you were saying, sir.
It's a long season. There are ebbs and flows. 2 weeks ago, the sky was falling on our defense. Now people are saying we might have the best defense in the NFL.
Right.
These past 2 weeks, our quarterback play has not been at the standard that he would expect or that, our fans clearly expect. But the sky is not falling because we're finding ways to win, which good teams do. Now, if we're going in December and this is what our offense looks like and we're scraping out wins, I'd be concerned that we're going to be able to run through the playoffs like we want to. But December is a long way away. A long way away.
No. Yeah. Well said. Those are your OBM Hunt topics. Ohio Business Machine Preferred Copier Provider, your Cleveland Browns, for all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000. Visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Coming up next, you'll hear from Chargers head coach Brandon Staley. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Imagine kicking back in the evenings in your very own hot tub. Now imagine actually being able to afford one. Northeast Factory Direct buys hot tubs by the truckload. You get a 6-person hot tub with the lounger and the lights. Still afford all of the activities in the fall and through the holiday season. If you think owning a hot tub would be a pain, well, it's not. Certainly not at Northeast Factory Direct. Guys, they have this exclusive hardtop cover. You don't have to worry about safety or convenience. Plus, you're going to get a lifetime warranty on the cover. So if you're looking for a way to stay active, they also have these amazing swim spas. It's like a hot tub, but you can adjust the jets for a gentle current swim against it for year-round exercise and relaxation. See for yourself, West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard, and Euclid or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. LA Chargers head coach Brandon Staley with a very interesting take. Put on. Oh.
Mark it, dude.
Mark it, dude.
Mark it, dude.
Oh,
yes.
boy.
Mark it, dude.
Really starting to rack up.
Mark it.
That's 4. Hate to see it.
Bobby Meckling, by the way, says, Chesty Gibbe being chesty about being Chesty Gibbe is the crazy horse of the Mount Rushmore of Gibbe.
The crazy horse. Well, because he has his own stat show. There's the Crazy Horse Monument in South Dakota. That's a good job out of Bobby.
Yeah.
That's next level South Dakota geography, history.
Yeah, bravo.
Good job out of him.
I was
Elite
thinking
tweeting.
something different.
Yeah, that's a good job out of him.
God.
It's a very good job out of young Bob. Good job out of you. I wonder if he is a South Dakotan. Is that how he would know that?
I don't know, but that's pretty elite.
That's a deep pull. The Crazy Horse Monument, which has been being built for like 60 years. They're still not done. It's an entire mountain. Google it. Crazy Horse Monument, South Dakota. It's the scope of it is insane how big the scope is. And it's not going to be done for it's still not even close.
It's not even close.
No. And they've been working on it forever.
I mean, there's no way in our lifetime this thing will be done.
No.
I mean, look what it's going to be. It's going to be so elite, though, when it is.
It is, but when was it started? I think they've been doing it for like 50 years. Like the original guy, I don't even think is doing it anymore. It's somebody else.
Wow.
Like, can we get a team and knock it out?
Work on this.
Let's just knock it out and get it done. The guy was a warrior, hero.
Legend.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is good.
Yeah, very good.
Good job, Bobby.
Here's Brandon Staley. So he was asked, this is interesting. So he was asked about, even if you can't run it, why it's important to run it. I saw this going around yesterday. It's a good one. It's about the physicality of the run. And I think this is how you say to yourself, how do you go from defensive coordinator at John Carroll 3 years ago to head coach of the LA Chargers? It's because you get in a meeting room with ownership and front offices, and you give answers like this one. Have a listen.
What I think that the running game does for a quarterback is it gives you some breathers. And, you don't need a good running game to be a good play-action team. But what you need the running game for is the physical element of the game. There's a physicality to the game that's real, right? If you're just a passing team, okay, there's a physical element to the game that the defense doesn't have to respect, okay? And that's the truth, okay? Because the data will tell you you don't need a run game to play pass. You don't need that. But what the running game does for you, it brings a physical dimension to the football game. And what the running game does that the passing game does not is the running game forces the defense to play blocks and to tackle. That happens on a run play. You must play blocks and you must tackle. In the passing game, those things don't have to happen, right? You don't have to play as many blocks, right? And you may not have to tackle based on incomplete or not. So what the running game does is it really challenges your physicality. And that's why I think the run game is important to a quarterback, is because it's going to allow him literally to have more space to operate when you do throw the football. Okay, it's not that you need the run game to throw it. It's just what it gives the rest of your skill players.
He's a defensive Kevin Stefanski. And one way you can understand really quickly, if somebody kind of understands what I would call the evolution of the NFL and really understands the game, is do you need to be an effective running team to be a successful play-action passing team? The answer is no.
No.
He gets it. Coach Stefanski gets it. But there is that physicality. And for the Browns, what you've seen is in games where we are not as efficient throwing the football, we can impose our will physically and wear teams down over the course of a game with two running backs, one of whom is always fresh. And that's a great treat, a great treat for us. And so Brandon Staley is very smart. And as you said, because he got in the room and you're seeing an evolution to guys like Kevin Stefanski, and he's the same way. Even keel, highly intelligent, puts together very good game plans. The players have completely bought into what it is that he is doing there. So that soundbite does not surprise me at all. And I know that it's gotten a lot of play, and you've heard a lot of people in NFL circles chime in and just say, oh, yeah, this guy gets it, and that he's one of those, what I would put on that modern, young, smart, calm, gets it type of coach.
And those guys, it's interesting because you'll hear people say, well, how do those guys, win over grown men, NFL football players? Intellect. They win them over with intellect, and they win them over with watch what happens when you do what I tell you to do. And then you start to implement it, and all of a sudden they see it. And they go, oh, I see. You show on film. Look, this is what this is designed to do. Here's what you did. Here's what was open. What about this? You see this? And the film, that's the thing. The film don't lie, man.
That's right.
The film don't lie.
Does not lie.
No.
And it's not only that you show that you're smart. They're explaining to the players, as you said, the why. The why. Not just this is what you're doing because I'm saying it. Here's the why. And you are able to communicate that effectively. And it's not only is it just pure intelligence, football intelligence, it's emotional intelligence, knowing that messages need to be delivered differently to different people based on how they receive those messages. And so you have the ability to then communicate effectively with the whole team while being consistent in how you deal with everybody. And that's why Brandon Staley has been highly praised early in his tenure here, and that they like you could see the culture change and just the difference for those who watched Hard Knocks, the difference in that soundbite and that approach to what they had previously with Anthony Lynn. And I'll tell you what, anybody who was there in both regimes, they feel like they've seen their black and white, now they're in color. And that matters. The buy-in matters. And you need to show them why. And then all of a sudden the success starts stacking up, and now you have the total buy-in. And that's one of the reasons they're a good football team. He's a very smart guy. He's going to be very prepared. Now, his defensive philosophy thus far has been, we will allow you to run the football. We are not going to get beat over the top. If you were to look at this team, the Chargers, they try to stop you from hitting explosive plays. That's what their defense is geared to do. You look at explosive plays allowed this season, the Chargers have allowed 17. That's sixth fewest in the NFL. They are trying to stop that and then say, okay, you want to go run it on us? Run it on us. Go ahead. But that's something that the Browns do very well, is run the football. So this will be an interesting stylistic fight. Now, they've allowed as many explosive plays rushing as they have passing. That's atypical, obviously, in the NFL, but that's what they're willing to give up. So this will be our strength is what they want to turn people towards, because most teams are soft, as he said. Most teams are built around the pass and can't run it with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Now, the only game that they've lost this year, the opponent rushed for more than 150 yards. That was the Dallas Cowboys. Guess what? We've run for 150 yards every game. So this is going to be an interesting stylistic matchup here.
His story is a remarkable one. Have you guys, just for the people out there, he's a Northern Illinois grad assistant.
Yep.
So it's not like he started at Ohio State. He's a Northern Illinois grad assistant from 06 to 08. St. Thomas, defensive line coach in 09. Then he's at Hutchinson, which it's a D3 school, from 10 and 11 as associate head coach. To this point, hasn't been the head coach, nothing. Then he's at Tennessee as a grad assistant in 2012. John Carroll, defensive coordinator in 13, goes to James Madison as a defensive coordinator in 2014, comes back to John Carroll in 15 and 16, then lands with the Bears as an outside linebacker coach in 17 and 18, Broncos outside linebacker coach in 19,
so it's
defensive
Fangio.
Coordinator with the Rams, and now head coach, all by the age of, 38?
He's a young man.
You don't even dare to – when you're at some of these jobs, man, I know what it's like to be not personal, talking to friends who've been like – grad assistants at Ohio State, that's a no fun job, man. I can't imagine what it's like at some of these places.
It's got to be tough. You're doing the grunt work and you're working your way, but to go that fast.
That's what I'm saying. To be able to be seen and heard and bought into and move.
So he was with Fangio, goes with Fangio to Denver.
I wonder what the connection was with Chicago that got him to Chicago in 17, where you would poach him from John Carroll as defensive coordinator to outside linebacker coach in Chicago. Who on that Bears staff in 17 that made that move available for him?
Yeah, and he clearly impressed Fangio, right? So
clearly
takes him with him to Denver, And then there's some connection there between Denver and the Rams, maybe from Wade Phillips back in the day, that maybe there was some good talk amongst you got to get this guy in. He calls plays. Guess who was calling his plays for him? R. John Johnson. So you wonder, do we have any? What kind of?
That's
what can
a great
we,
point.
What
and
can
Troy
we
would have played in
glean
that
from
defense too.
They both played in it, but
Both
John
played.
was the one
John
who was
calling it.
communicating with him.
Yeah,
and knowing what he wants to do in certain situations.
Is John available this week
to play?
No, to talk.
I would imagine he probably will.
He will be on the pregame show. I know that.
Oh, good job out of you, Gibby. Yeah.
I
wonder if he's got a podium tomorrow.
Today.
Is it today?
Today.
He didn't talk today.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he'd be someone you'd want to hear from, based on that. But yeah, it's an incredible rise, and he gives they're off to a great start there, and there certainly is belief there. If your Social Security benefits have been denied, call the disability lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk & Elk's a proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. Let's hit around the league here while we're in the middle of this. Jalen Smith was available for what, 12 hours?
Yeah. Well, you knew that he was going to be a hot commodity.
Lands at Green Bay.
And Stephon Gilmore was never available. So Jalen Smith is a Packer. That will certainly help for them. And by the way, that's not a bad way to start your NFL career. Cowboys, Packers. That's a pretty good way to start your NFL career. And so Jalen Smith will go there and get a chance to compete and be a player there, and will certainly help. The Packers play the Bengals this week down in Cincinnati. They are only a 3-point favorite in that game. The Packers are. That's interesting. 3-1, 3-1.
I find it that way. Found it interesting as well. So that's a big.
I mean, they just had their hands full with the Jags.
I know. Yeah, and that, from the Cincinnati perspective, the win over Jacksonville validates their first half of the season. I mean, they beat Minnesota, they beat Pittsburgh, which was huge for them, and then they beat Jacksonville to finish at 3-1. It's validating what Zach Taylor's doing, and they welcome the Packers in there on Sunday. So that's a fun one. Who does Baltimore have this week?
Baltimore is
Pittsburgh has Denver. I know
Pittsburgh's Denver. Isn't Baltimore Monday night? Yeah, home against the Colts.
Ugh, jeez, I need Manning cast on that one.
Won't get it.
Get it. Didn't get it last week either. Did we get it?
Missed. Huge miss.
Do you know why they didn't have it?
They agreed to only do, I think, 10 games all year.
Yep.
Did they pick the games they were going to do, I wonder?
They wanted this. They're off for like 3 weeks.
Maybe
4. Maybe they come back week 7. Yeah, maybe they're off 4, 5, 6 and come back week 7.
I thought it was 3, but
yeah, so maybe they come back week 7.
The London games are back. This is an interesting note from PFT. 30 London games. Never has there been a game where both teams have had winning records coming into the game, and that won't happen this year either. So it's Jets and Falcons on Sunday, and then it is Dolphin and Jaguars after that.
And Calvin Ridley out for that game due to a personal matter.
Wow.
Not making the trip to London for a Falcons team that has struggled. Maybe this will be our Kyle Pitts week, though. Maybe he'll get
just had his 21st birthday.
100 targets.
I can't play. Pitts is only 21.
21.
Jeez.
It's like when we drafted the Chief.
Yeah, you can't play him at this point. He's a no play.
Pitts?
Yeah.
He's still getting you like 60 yards.
2 catches, 34. He's running deep. Matt Ryan just can't throw him the ball. I understood the London games when they were throwing Jacksonville there all the time, because I think it was quite believable that Shad Khan wanted to move that franchise to London because he was trying to buy Wembley. It made all the sense in the world. There's an affinity and a understanding and belief of the branding of Jaguars in England. I mean, that makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. But now that that's not going to happen, now that there are 2 stadiums over there. There's the Tottenham Stadium and then there's the Wembley. NFL teams could play in both. You talk to people and they will say it won't be one London team. When they do it, it'll be 2 London teams, just like L.A. Al Michaels always said that about L.A. It won't be one L.A. team. It'll be 2. He was right. So it'll be 2 London teams when it's time to go. But I don't know how this solves it. Like, if you're going to give London Jets and Falcons and Dolphins and Jaguars, how do you get excited about that?
You don't. I don't know that anybody thought, well, you're sending over the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft. The Dolphins were supposed to be good. I'm guessing that's, the Jags, you knew were going to be there, but that's it.
Yeah, you're sending bad teams. It's bad teams.
Well, yeah, the Jets picked second.
Right.
The Falcons picked 4th. The Jags picked 1st.
Yeah, it's bad football. It's bad ball.
Dolphins are the only.
Well, and Waddle, where'd they pick Waddle? Wasn't he? Well, that was the pick from Houston, wasn't it? But still, yeah, it's bad ball. And I wonder if the idea will be to relocate a team over there, if they'll do the expansion route at that point. I guess they could threaten to relocate if they wanted to. So, but it's hard to imagine much fever coming out of those games. If you think about when these, I don't know if it was the first London game, but I remember in either 85 or 86, the either soon-to-be champion Chicago Bears or the defending Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears went to London. And there's a picture of Sports Illustrated of Jim McMahon with the guys on the Buckingham Palace with the hats, those guys. Like, that's how you go do a tour, is you send the Chicago Bears, like in 1986. This is not that in any way, shape, or form.
Fresh off the Super Bowl shuffle?
That's right. Yeah.
They didn't come to London looking for no trouble.
No, they didn't. They came to London to do the Super Bowl shuffle.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll have to see. All right. Coming up at the top of the hour, Nathan goes one-on-one with defensive tackle Malik Jackson. It's an interview you're going to want to hear. It is a good one. He's clapping. That tells you all you need to know. Do you have a teaser for it?
I love it. I mean, I just think you're going to get great insight into...
Mostly because of your work?
No, because of his. He's a tremendous person to talk to, and I think we have a good vibe. You'll see that we have a good kind of chemistry, and he gives some really good insights into a mindset change that he made, much like Austin Hooper from the week before, to put the team first and to try to help this football team, and then also shed some light on how these Thursday defensive player-only meetings came to be.
There you go. That's a tease if you've ever heard one. That's coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. EOX Vantage has that local presence with the global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from an EOX Vantage client named Tom Darty. He's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Programs at the NIP Group. He says, quote, I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage, if you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out, and they've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm to innovate and improve our company and use EOX Vantage for the infrastructure, coding, programming capabilities, technological expertise, and experience working with global brands. Absolutely thrilled with our partnership, and you will be too. And you can learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. Again, that's 216-298-1616. And now here is Z one-on-one with Malik Jackson.
Joined now by Browns defensive and fashion icon Malik Jackson. And Malik, first road win of the season this past week in Minnesota. And how important is it, though, to be able to demonstrate, yes, we can go on the road and take care of our business?
I mean, it's very important. You know, we only get so many of these games, and half of them are on the road. So to let any game slip our grasp is unacceptable. So we understand how important every game is, especially on the road, to let these teams know, you know, we care about home, but we also care about coming on the road and asserting our dominance.
Plus, the road is an opportunity for the scarves. We saw that begin in the preseason. I think I saw, was it a blue this week that you had?
Yeah, it was nice blue one hanging on the side. I appreciate you noticing.
Oh, man, you love it. You love to see a good scarf this time of year. And it's bringing success. You guys go out there, you handle your business. Now, you've been on great defenses in Denver, Super Bowl champions, in Jacksonville, a defense they brought you in, and you guys were as good as any in the league. Where do you put these last 2 weeks and what you've done here with the Cleveland Browns against some of the elite stuff that you've been a part of in the past?
I think the way we've been playing the run, and I think the way Miles and us have been rushing the passer, you know, I put us up there, you know. But the one thing about those teams that we finished well, you know, and I think that's one thing I'm waiting to see this team. We just got to see where we finish. You know, we're playing good ball now, but it's only week 5, and so we got a lot more to go. And I think 15 to get to the big show. So, you know, it's one of those things that we just want to keep working, be consistent, and do the things that work for us.
You've been pretty blessed in your career, and you're a big reason why. But to be on some defensive lines that can just take it to an opponent. And I mentioned Denver, Jacksonville, and now this one. How fun is it when you know that the guys across from you are like, oh, come on, not anymore, please?
Well, as those D-lines go, I like to think I'm the common denominator.
You are, clearly.
But, I'm just kidding. No, but I think that's the thing we try to do. You know, that's one thing I tell these guys. You know, we have to make sure, you know, you just don't put fear on people on Sunday when you walk on the field, line up against them. It's when he turns on that film on Monday, when he turns on that film on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then he's thinking, dang, this guy's a dog. He's just out here working. He thinks you're, you know, 10 foot, 500 pounds, and he gets to the game and sees you warming up. He's like, damn, that's exactly who I think he is. And then you go out there and you put your hands on him, and he knows in for a long day. So it's like just, you know, really just making sure, you know, last week I was pretty much, you know, courting this guy to get ready for this guy. So I have to beat this guy. Just let this next guy know that it's not going to be an easy day, no matter what block I get. So, you know, it's nice going out there and just being yourself and playing ball.
Yeah, and you guys are looking like you're having a lot of fun. And let's go back to 2 weeks ago. And much has been made about this, you know, players only meeting. And you talked about a little bit yesterday in your availability, you know, how we decided to get together on Monday. We decided to get together, go through some third downs as a team, talk to each other about the calls. How does that come about? And what's take us inside that meeting as much as you can to see what's really going on in there?
That's one of those things, like I said, Malcolm and Myles Garrett really got together and said, you know, we need to get together and really do some more things, because that first week against Kansas City really wasn't us. And so after that, you know, they called it up. And what do? We go in there. Coach Woods gives Malcolm a call sheet, and we just call the calls. You know, he calls the calls, and the DBs are back there talking. I give a D-line pass rush game or straight rush or whatever. And, you know, everybody's just talking. It allows us to be just a safe place. No coaches are there. You know, nobody's recording anything. It's just us. And if you don't know something, you speak on it, and we get it crispy. And then that way, you know, when we get back out there Friday, the coaches are happy, and Sunday it looks good. So it's just about just kind of coming together. And I know, you know, when I was on Denver, that defensive team, we did this too. And I know Malcolm said he did it in Seattle when he was on that team. So it's one of those things that, you know, you just take the things that work, and hopefully they work for us here.
Yeah, well, it's probably pretty beneficial to have 2 Super Bowl champions on the roster that have said, here, look, this is the little extra that we need to do to be where we want. Because I know you guys look around, and I'll go back. Kareem Hunt told me prior to the season, he goes, we look around this room and we know how talented we are. When you're in this locker room, you're like, there's a lot of dudes in here. We know we're being coached well. Like, we have the reigning coach of the year. So there's a certain responsibility for us to make sure that we do everything we can to make this as special as we think it can be. And is that kind of the mindset to go in there and get that extra work?
Yeah, everybody's accountable, man. I think everybody understands. Nobody wants to be that. I like to say, that the best player on the sucky team still sucks. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter how good you are, but I think we understand that we need to work. We need to be consistent. We have a Coach Woods that's been in the Super Bowl. All these guys who have been there. You understand what it takes, and you understand this. We have a lot of young guys in this team. I think what Malcolm and Miles saw was just like we needed just a little bit more concentration, and they gave it to us, and it's been working for us, and we're going to continue to do it. I actually told the guys today to make sure you get your workouts in early so we can be there at 3:50 tomorrow. So it's going to stay with us.
I love it, and I think that you guys do too. Back-to-back games in single digits, and Chicago. That's an example. Look, a rookie quarterback making his first start, tough situation on the road. But now you go on the road to Minnesota. They put up 63 points the 2 games prior. Kirk Cousins had a 17-game streak of a quarterback rating above 90. Dalvin's elite. Justin Jefferson. Like this is a good offense. And when you do that, do you guys take something out of that? Be like, okay, that was one situation. Yes, we dominated historically, by the way. Yeah. But this is a team that was putting up points on everybody, and we just went and shut them down.
Yes and no. We look at it like you said. We look at it, oh yeah, we went there and shut them down. But I think we went there understanding that we're the better team. We just got to do what we need to do. All week coach was talking about, they run the same things we run. So it's like a splitting image. And so when we were getting ready to go on the field, I told the guys, they're not like us. They don't have a Wyatt Teller. They don't have a Antonio. They don't have a Jack Conklin. You know what I'm saying? They don't have Myles Garrett or Malik McDowell. So it's one of those things that they can say they run the ball the same way we do, or they do this and that, but they don't have us, and we're the common denominator. So I think it kind of goes like that every week. We see what the teams did. Yesterday, we saw what the Chargers did against the Oakland Raiders. On Monday, but they look good. But we're a whole different defense, and we have a bunch of different guys, and we're coached well, and we got to go out there and prove it.
So I talked with Austin Hooper last week, and Austin Hooper came to the Browns as a 2-time Pro Bowler, a guy who was used to catching 75 passes, basically playing slot receiver, not having to block, and signed a huge deal. And he's like, I came here, and at first I kind of thought it was going to be the same for me, and then I realized pretty quickly, well, they have different things in mind for me. And he said I had to switch my mindset about what was important to me and what categorized a great game for me, and it became, for him, blocking and catching it when it was thrown and getting wins. And you and I talked in the tunnel coming out after the Vikings, and you're a guy who's had a high number of sacks, and you kind of said, look, I had to switch my mindset a little bit about if Malik and I push this pocket, it's over. It's over, and sacks will come. Guys are going to fall in eventually, and frankly should have had one. Let's check the official score. He was on the ground there, Kirk Cousins. But that is something to me that speaks so highly of you, of Austin, and of the culture here, that it's like, wait a second, the goal we have here is not about numbers for me. It's about hoisting that trophy, something you've had the privilege of doing.
Yeah.
When you went back and kind of had that mindset and that shift, as you told me about, people I'm sure see that, but that's a powerful thing, isn't it? Especially in a room, as you said, of a lot of young guys.
Yeah, it is, because it's one of those things, you sit back and like Austin, right? Or me, like you get sacks, you get this, you get that. It's like, oh, I'm the guy. Then you go somewhere and you got to attack McKinley at JD, Miles, run the edge. It doesn't make any sense for me to just rush up the field. I understand my goals. I understand what I can do well. But on this team, it's pushing the pocket, make sure the quarterback has nowhere to step up. And if he does step up, then I get him, but it's not about rushing upfield. Really turning the edge, and of course that's going to be done, but you have to play within the defense and understand the guys you have around you and what they're going to do and not hinder them. So it's just about being a team player, and like you said, it's about hosting that trophy at the end of the year, and hopefully your personal accolades come into play as you're doing that. But it's just about being a team player and understanding the guys you have around you and what you need to do and what's going to get you that W.
Do you enjoy playing for an organization where, for example, last week, I give you a sack for that. That's me, Nathan Zegura, scored. But you had 5 pressures in the game. You affected the game exponentially. In this organization, they notice that. In some places, they may be like, oh, you had a sack or you didn't have a sack. But here, they just want disruption, and you were disruptive. Does that, as a player, does that help you kind of make that transition, being like, look, they're all about me getting pressures. They're not as worried as long as we're doing our jobs.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. I left that game thinking I didn't play well at all. It's one of those things that as a defensive lineman, we want sacks. You can talk to me, Miles, JD. yeah, we can get 5 tackles for losses, do a bunch of stuff. But if there's no sack on that list, then it's like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? So like the past 3 weeks, I've been stressing like, God, coach is gonna take me out this third down. I need to start turning these edges, doing this and doing that. So. And then it goes back to what you said, just kind of getting out your way. And like that's when I had that revelation, just calm down, like just take it easy, understand what you're here for, set edges, be, penetrated in a run game. And, on a pass, like I said, create pressure and push the pocket. So, it's nice to hear, all the things I'm doing well at, but I'm just like, I need sacks. But, as long as we're winning and everybody's eating and we're all consistent, doing well, then that's all I can ask for.
And you guys are. And you talk about yourself right next to you, the other Malik.
Yeah.
You've been around the league for a long time. I mean, can you put into perspective for us what he's doing? This guy hasn't played in the NFL ever, and he was drafted in 2017. And all of a sudden in training camp, you're like, wait a second, this guy's pretty good. Then you get him in the preseason, and he is throwing dudes around like they're children. You're like, holy mackerel. Yeah. His first snap is a tackle for loss in Kansas City. What's it like being next to this guy who is probably just scratching the surface of pretty tremendous God-given talents?
No, it's awesome, man. Malik has done a lot of great things. And I saw his family member on the first game, and I said, man, you should be very proud of this guy, man. He's came a long way, But to be able to play with the man is just an honor, because it's one of those things that you get a guy that's just green, that just wants to learn, that just wants to play, has all the physical attributes to do it. So for me, being able to, I've seen, like I said, Cameron Vickersons, Terrence Knightons of the world, to see guys like that, big, strong, fast guys, or guys that can move, I just tell them, hey, man, you're this, you're that. You can do this well, you do this well, just piggybacking on what Coach Kiffin tells them, because, he has a lot of great attributes. It's just fun to see a guy just really kind of putting it together, because in OTAs he came in, it was like class 101, and now he's damn near just has his graduate degree, you know what I'm saying? Like he's damn near in the master's class now. So it's one of those things, just to see him just really listening, learning, and understand the guys around him, talking to him. Now he's going from hey, I bullish this guy 3 times, I don't know what to do, to like, hey, I bullish this guy, then I use a cross chop, then I use a double swipe, now I'm going back to my bull because that's what got me there. You see like the growth in him and how he's thinking and how he's reading plays and stuff. It's just awesome to see, man. And, it takes me back, puts a tear to my eye, when I help him see him do it right. So it's nice.
And I interviewed him, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I mean, obviously his story is incredible, but he credits you a lot. He goes, I mean, to have a guy who's been in the league as long as you have, who's done it at a high level, that's invaluable. And for you to be generous. And I remember when I first time I talked to you, you said, I've come in here and I'm trying to be a leader because that's what guys did for me when I came in. But what an unbelievable marriage. And you're both Maliks. I mean, you can't even make this stuff
kings.
Up. Yeah.
Both kings out here, and it's nice, man. 2 kings just providing for each other and working off each other. And like I told him, man, every week, man, it's me and you. When we're going against the offensive warm-ups, I'm like, hey, man, it's me and you. We don't need nobody else. We cover up this middle. We do what we need to do. All pros. Let's go. So it's just a little gauge that I know, man. We're all we need. Let's talk. Let's communicate, and we'll be all right. So it's nice. It's very nice to play with somebody that's just humble. Like I said, just wants to work, and that's actually really good.
I bet it is. And every time you look around, there's really good.
2 minutes left.
You guys had 9 pressures combined, pushing that pocket on Cousins as a team. I think 58% of his dropbacks were pressured. That was the highest rate in the league. That's a thing that, with the rule changes in the NFL, this is something we were talking about on the show. The days of like being like, okay, you can just throw Revis out there and have Revis Island, or, you played with great corners in Denver.
Yeah, Bailey.
Yeah, of course. Aqib Talib.
Yep.
Chris Harris. It feels like the rules have made it harder. The one thing that can consistently disrupt an offense, though, is pressure.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you guys can control, and they haven't, at least yet. They made it tough, like Malik got that roughing the passer. I mean,
crazy.
Here nor there, but for the most part, that's the one thing you guys control. And you go against another good offense this week in the Chargers. They're great on third downs. Herbert's been phenomenal on third downs. That's the money down. But the one thing that affects, I saw Joey Bosa's comments, and it's like, insert any quarterback. You hit them, you get them off their spot, you make them throw it before they want to. They're not going to be as good as when they're just standing there doing what they want.
Yeah, man, I got to give a shout out to AB. He's done a great job of getting guys in here that want to play, that are coachable, that stay healthy. And, just one of those things that I got to really give compliment to him, because it's not like that everywhere, And he got a group of guys that can really gel together. So we got to give praise to AB. But, this offense coming in is really good. Good on third down. The quarterback goes to his reads when he can. They have a good line. So good receivers. So it's going to be a battle, plus we got a long flight. So it's going to be a battle. But I think we're practicing. We're going to get ready. We're going to be consistent. Like you said, we have the reigning head coach of the year or coach of the year. So he's going to get us right, and we're going to be ready to go down there and show who we are and what we have, and hopefully keep stacking these wins and keep putting these performances up there. You know, it's special. You can go 2 weeks in a row and only have people score 7 points on you as a defense each week. So hopefully we
30 seconds.
Be consistent.
Are you having fun?
Hell yeah, I'm having a great time. 10 years in on the winning team, getting paid. What else can be wrong, you know?
That's right. Well, I'll tell you what, we are having fun having you here, Malik. It has really been not only a joy to watch you play, but obviously the impact you're having in the locker room and the impact on the field. And just, a lot
10 seconds.
of veterans coming together and saying, we can do something special. I think that really adds to the feeling that's kind of building around this football team. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you, good job out of you, good job out of Malik. One of the most
that guy.
remarkable things that has been done here in really 2 off seasons with Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, Kevin Stefanski, everybody putting this group together. It's an incredible mix of really good human young players and incredible veteran leaders. Like everything they did had such a purpose. There's not a guy that we talk to who has been drafted or who has been signed here in the last couple of years that by the time you're done talking to him, you're not like, man, that dude's impressive.
Yeah.
Like Walker, Jackson, Johnson. You think of the draft, JOK, my goodness, Newsome. Like these guys are such impressive people. And that's something that's not by accident. But every single one of them, you're like, man, that guy's a leader of men.
One thing I would love to do, as we think about, things that would be fun, like maybe do a podcast one day where we sit down with AB and really get like the true story, because
the real truth with AB.
They know.
There's your podcast.
They knew how much they liked Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, right? Like there's nobody that I can tell you, nobody's surprised at what he's done 4 games into his rookie season in this building.
Yeah, that's one you're going to look back on and go, it's going to be, I think it has a potential to be like the DK Metcalf one, where it's like, this was always this simple. You made it more difficult than it was, you bunch of dummies, and we benefited, much like Seattle benefited. There wasn't anybody who watched DK Metcalf at the Combine, we were there, and went, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a problem. Like, everybody knew he was going to be a problem. That's how I think everybody felt about Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, that for some, I know it was injury or whatever, but everybody knew he would do this. I didn't know anybody who watched Notre Dame play, who did scouting, wasn't like, yeah, he's a problem. Every time we did elite traits with any scout we had on, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Yeah. So this is the real truth that I would want to get. How do you like? It would feel like it would make sense to be like, oh, let's just call the Jags and get pick 33 and just do this right now. To wait into the 40s, like how that is what I mean that forward to. So now that comes from, I'm sure he would say it comes from some of the intelligence that we gathered about what other teams were thinking and our confidence in that intelligence. But at some point you're like, all right, so maybe instead of giving up, a 4th to move up, or I'll have to give up a 3rd. Like, but if you get the guy and he's this, does it matter? No, but to be able to negotiate it the right way, move back 2 years ago for Delpit and pick up the pick that turns into Nick Harris. Just, I think so many of us would be like, oh my, who cares what happened? Who cares what we pay? If we come out of this with Newsome and Owusu-Koramoah, it's a win. Like,
it doesn't matter.
But to sit there and still wait and let it get into the 40s, like how?
I don't know.
What are those conversations? Somebody be like, dude, like, if he goes right now, we're going to be kicking ourselves.
I obviously remember sitting there watching the draft and going, go now. Go now.
Yes.
Go get him. I don't know why every time a team would come up and they would say his name, I'd be like, my God, go. And then eventually.
It's like when you're on the line, Braveheart.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like, I'm going to die if I don't throw this.
Yeah. Braveheart, historically 100% accurate.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No.
100% accurate. Nothing's changed.
When you watched
recorder account of history.
When you watched it, you really got the sense that that's what it was.
Yeah.
That it was just pure,
all true.
Basically.
Isn't that amazing? Like they were able to follow it almost word for word from history. So that's a good job of them. If your game plan for this season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. You'll hear from Odell Beckham Jr. up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans can win big with digital scratch-off game brought to you by the Ohio Lottery on ClevelandBrowns.com or Browns social channels. Fans can play once per day throughout the season by digitally scratching off a virtual card for chances to win great prizes like Team Shop gift cards and tickets to future games. For more information, log on to promotions.clevelandbrowns.com. An update from today's practice: players not practicing: Jedrick Wills, J.C. Treader, Tack McKinley, Malcolm Smith, David Njoku, Jadeveon Clowney, and Chris Hubbard on the not. But what you don't hear on there is Troy and Denzel in. So that's good news on that front.
Yeah, Troy Hill, Denzel Ward, good to go. And look, I fully expect Clowney and Tack to be ready to go this weekend as well. I think that, again, 3 games in 11 days is coming up starting Sunday. And so I think we're being judicious with some of our guys and giving them some rest and being smart about that. I feel we will be at full strength defensively in this one. I think left tackle really kind of remains
not Newsome, though.
The big question mark without Greg Newsome.
Yep. Yeah, without Newsome.
But he's out.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from Odell Beckham Jr. and let's talk about this one. Here is Odell recapping Sunday's win and talking about expectations within the team. OBJ.
Like I said, we're finding ways to win games, which is crazy. I've been in the NFL now. It's going on 8 years, and I've seen enough football to know the teams that are going to come away and win games and the teams that, wouldn't win a game like that because of those things. That we're a team that can overcome all those obstacles. And that's just the bottom line, is this team each and every Sunday is most likely going to win. Like, that's the goal, is to win, and I think we have a great team. So
we're so close to unlocking him. I mean, even the difference between his first game back and last week, he was open a lot. His burst is there.
Yeah. He could have 3 touchdowns. There was a red zone pass that Baker has alluded to in his press conferences that he wanted back. There was the deep ball down the right side.
Yeah.
Going
where he underthrew it.
And hit the helmet.
Step up in the pocket and didn't put enough air in it, underthrew it.
And then the one at the end of the game, obviously, that a lot of people have talked about, and it's just one of those, a miscommunication or something that was seen differently in a split second. But the bottom line is there aren't guys that open often in the NFL, and it's on everybody involved in the process to make sure that the ball is caught.
Yeah, Coach Van Pelt saying today that he put it on himself, saying it was, we'd schemed it against zone, we saw it against man, and so it was different. I got to have the guys better prepared. In the end, it's one play. And I think the thing that's kind of getting lost in this, and you expertly brought this up on Monday, and I thought it was a very sound point. What Kevin Stefanski was trying to do with that, first of all, it was a tremendous play call.
Yep.
But he knew if he hit it, not only is it a game winner, but those 2 guys hitting on a game winner unlocks a lot.
And it stops all. If that
done.
pass is complete,
it's done.
This week, it looks a billion% differently.
So you would have been 15 to 33, would have been 16 to 33, it would have been a touchdown, would have been another 60 yards.
Yep.
It's all wash.
And it just changes. Then we win 21-7.
Yeah.
It feels bigger. Nobody's talking about his struggles because that's what they're talking about. Baker and Odell, are they back? Odell's over 100 yards. He's got the touch. It just it changes everything.
Sure does. Yeah. And that is not lost, certainly, on Kevin Stefanski. Not by a darn stretch. So it's close. It's close between you can see it. And Odell is real close. And he said, his legs still aren't where aren't still not all the way, but he's real close. And you can see it with the way he's running routes and how open he's getting. Man, I root for the guy, man. I root for the guy. You know how hard he works. You know what he's all about. You know how desperate he is to be some percentage, or if he can't be some percentage of what he once was. And he's getting there. He's getting very close. You can hear it, and you can certainly see it in the film because it backs it up. Beau Bishop here for my friends at Raising Cane's. Stop by Raising Cane's this Halloween season. Enjoy hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers with peanut zang.
Dang.
Visit RaisingCanesGear.com to purchase a limited edition Peanuts t-shirt. Net proceeds will be donated to Canine Companion and its mission to provide trained assistance dogs to people with disabilities. Are you looking for a place to have fun while working hard? Raising Canes is hiring as well. Visit workatcanes.com or text RC Jobs to 97211. Raising Canes, one love. So the Peanuts gang will be at Raising Canes.
Wow.
We got Matt Smith coming up next, voice of the Chargers. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily here on a Thursday edition of the program. Beau Bishop, Nathan Zegura with you here and heading out to the West Coast for the voice of the Chargers. He is Matt Money Smith, NFL Network, of course, co-host of Petros and Money on AM 570 in L.A. Matt, thanks so much for taking the time. Before we get into the matchup and all of that, what does this start? What does the ascent of Justin Herbert, what does it mean in L.A.?
Well, Beau and hey, Nathan, it gives us a star in the city, a football star. I'm not saying that Aaron Donald isn't a star, but, he's not a quarterback. And I think this has always been a star-driven town. And, to me, I think it's going to go a long way in determining whether or not the Chargers are going to be able to kind of get a hold of this market. And from what I've seen, it's so different. I've been doing it since they moved here. They hired me in 2017, and the last year plus has been so much different, than that 12-4 run, because, those were all kind of San Diego Chargers. It was Phillip Rivers' team, and he's, arguably one of the greatest San Diego athletes of all time. Justin Herbert, there's only two guys left on this team that played in San Diego, Keenan and Joey, and they're both superstars, but they were there so briefly that they just feel like Los Angeles anyway. But Herbert's a Los Angeles star, and, this is the best way I can describe it. In watching the Cowboys and the Raiders games, look, we didn't have football here for 25 years. There's a lot of Cowboy fans. There's a lot of Raider fans here, especially because they were here for 13 years and won a Super Bowl. There were multiple occasions walking through the concourse where I saw mom and dad wearing their Raider or Cowboy jerseys, and their son or daughter are wearing a Herbert jersey. And to me, that's cool. How you win the market. And I think Justin's the guy to win the market.
He's an incredibly impressive quarterback. He's been lights out on third down since joining the league, leads the league in third down touchdown passes, leads the league in first downs thrown for on third down. What is it about him that keeps him so cool? We obviously got to do a little TV scouting in the Monday night win, a very impressive win over the Raiders, but everything just looks easy. There's very little fluster. Nothing's herky-jerky. Nothing looks forced. It just seems like he plays the game easily, if that's an okay way to phrase it.
Yeah, that works, Nathan. I think, I do the games with Daniel Jeremiah, who's, just to me the best draft analyst out there. And, he was a scout for a long time with 3 different franchises. And, a lot of people missed on Herbert. Almost everybody did. I mean, granted, he got taken 6th overall, but, we didn't get to see this at Oregon. So, it's just not the way Mario Cristobal played. And when you see it, Daniel made a great point. He goes, sometimes you just overthink it. And you overthink it with Josh Allen, and you overthink it a little bit with Justin Herbert. He's a legitimate 6'6", 240 pounds.
Yep.
I mean, he is a giant, next to giant. When you're on a football field walking around, you recognize how big and strong and fast these guys are. And then when you see someone stand out amongst them, yep, like Justin does, like Derwin James does in his position group, you're like, holy crap, that just looks different. So I think that's where it starts is, he has the physical capability to do anything he wants, to take shots, to deliver balls, even if the play's off schedule, he can still overcome it. So I think that helps bring some calm. He's incredibly smart. He won the academic Heisman his senior year. I know Joe Lombardi said he was floored with how well he had already had a grasp of the playbook before they had even gotten together from when, Joe had passed it on to him. So I think you combine those two things. And I think the third thing is he's incredibly comfortable with himself. I don't want to say confident or arrogant. He's just comfortable. He's fine. When he got that stupid haircut last year, he was just like, whatever. Lottie was like, I'll cut your hair. And I was like, all right. It's I guess everyone's making a big deal about it. That's just kind of how he carries himself. So nothing ever overwhelms him.
No, that what else that sounds like, and we don't know him as well as you do, obviously, but just what we do know, and he spent some time here in Cleveland. Sounds like Brandon Staley a little bit too.
Totally.
That he is somebody who is, and we got a guy like that in Stefanski who's just so comfortable in his own skin. It's almost disarming how comfortable he is, just where he is, and where he's at, and just steady always. And I get that with Staley as well.
Yeah, he's impressive, man. I mean, he is, and look, the fans love him. It only took a couple games for the fans to fall in love with him. And I think he's starting to make a national name for himself just because he's, like you said, Nathan, he's comfortable with himself. He doesn't mind sharing too much. I know maybe some people in the Chargers organization are like, oh, that's a lot of info you're throwing out there. But he's so it seems like he loves football, man. He loves talking football. Like, we'll do our interviews with him before the game, or, you know, if we're on the plane and we start chatting when we get to the hotel or something. He just wants to keep talking. Like, the mics are off, and he'll be like, guys, you know what? You're going to probably see us give up some yards, but, you know, we just feel like if we can do that, we can still put a cap on this Kansas City off. We love our plan this way. That's how he is. And I think that's connected with Justin incredibly. You know, I think last year you had a coaching staff, and I love Anthony Lynn. He's as good a guy as you're ever going to be around. He just coached differently.
Yep.
You know, he coached, I think, more traditionally, like, okay, well, we got a 4-point lead. There's 4 minutes left. Let's get them to use all 3 of their timeouts and see if we can get this thing past the 2-minute, and here's a punt, and you lose the game by 3. There were so many of those. So I think to have Brandon Staley come out and say things like, hey, man, my quarterback's a gangsta. We're going to put the ball in his hands, and we're going to go get it. And then he does it. I think that creates this relationship in such a short frame of time that leads to trust, excitement, belief in the team and their coach, and also in the fan base. And I think it all just kind of one hand washes the other. You know, it just becomes this great ball of momentum. I think you made a great point. I think it's very similar to what's happening in Cleveland with Stefanski.
I think it is. I mean, earlier when we were doing kind of this matchup, I said I think they have the defensive Stefanski in that interview he gave about the run game and the physicality, and that you don't need to be a good running team to be successful in the play action, which is kind of echoing all the things that, you know, from analytics, and, you know, we're big on that, obviously, in our organization. But they just strike me, the demeanor, the calm, no fluster, the poise, and the aggressiveness. And, you know, what we said here with our team, and I'm curious to see if it's kind of the same, is that we went from a much more traditional style prior to Kevin Stefanski, and a few swings at the plate at that, I might add. And that for the players, you know, when the players know that the coach is smart and that the coach is putting them in the best position to succeed, it's very easy to buy in, because they can not only explain, this is what we're doing, here's why we're doing it. And I like it, and I've heard players use this phrase. It's like we went from playing football in black and white to in full color. And it feels like you guys have that there in that buy-in, which is why I think this is a pretty exciting matchup.
Yeah, oh, no doubt. I mean, I think, you know, I think in Anthony's defense a little bit, Beau, is he dealt with incredible attrition, like just incredible. The amount of injuries that piled up, you know, while he was here, you know, it got to a point where people would just call it, oh, yeah, it's being a Charger. You know, that's what you feel good. And then next thing you know, Derwin's down, Joey's down, your entire offensive line is backups. And, you know, so far we have not had to do that, but I also think that speaks to coaching. You know, I remember Coach Staley saying something to us in training camp, just about injuries. And look, you know, you hate to bring it up. It's a different set of players, a different, you know, coaching and strength and training regime. And he made a great point. He said, you know, the one thing I've learned is you can't train everyone the same way. You know, you've got to talk to these guys. And Brian Balaga brought it, and, you know, interestingly enough, he's one of the guys that is injured, but he brought it up. He said, Staley came to him and said, hey, you were healthy all of 2018. What do you remember doing? What can we do here to try to keep you on that field? And he said he does that with every player. So I think it's, you know, and you guys certainly have it, you know, and it's so important from top down, right? I mean, gosh, you guys can speak to what it's like to have, you know, a new GM that everybody believes in and buys into. So I think a lot of it is organizational, you know, and somehow, for whatever reason, they always, you know, I don't know how that works. It's such a violent game. Injuries seem so arbitrary, but it does seem like the more stable, solid organizations from top to bottom are the ones that do stay healthy and are, you know, at that 7 or 8 or 9 win mark with 4 games to go in the season.
Matt, a couple of things we do really, really well. We can run the ball behind with, I think, the best running back tandem in the league, and I think probably the best offensive line in the league, or certainly on a very short list of best offensive line. And we get after the passer. Of those two things that we do at an elite level, which one from the Chargers' perspective is more concerning?
Yes. That's my answer, yes. Look, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Just watching back all the Browns sort of, you know, going through plays and trying to figure out, you know, what's worked for the Browns and what the Chargers do well. This is what I'm most interested in, right? The Raiders came in, and everybody was talking about how this was going to be a Josh Jacobs game. He's healthy. Peyton Barber ran the ball effectively the week before. You know, the week before that was the Chiefs. And, you know, Coach Staley talked about the way they were going to approach it. And they come out of that game, and the Chiefs rushed for almost 200 yards, coming off a Cowboys game where they rushed for almost 200 yards. And And then you kind of you widen that lens, and you see, oh, wait a minute, the Chiefs only scored 24 points instead of the 35.5 they're averaging.
Yep.
The Cowboys only scored 20 points instead of the 35.5 that they're averaging. The Raiders came in averaging 470 yards, and they only scored 14 points, and they had 1 first down in the first half. What I'm getting at is, like, I think the run game is a serious problem, but I thought the run game was going to be a big problem for the Chargers this past week, and Staley just he's so good. And I know it's only 4 games, but he and Ronaldo Hill have been able to come up with these game plans that are specific to the opponent. And I wouldn't be fooled by the 29th ranked run D. I think so much of that was by design. The Chiefs only had 2 explosive plays in that game, and they were more than happy to let them chug away in 10 and 12 play drives. So I think for me, to make a long answer longer, it's probably the offensive line, just because I think whichever of these 2 defensive lines is more successful is going to be the difference. I think you may be looking at a turnover, and this just feels like a 17-14 game to me. So I think it's that O-line. Can Joey Bosa, have the same impact Myles Garrett has, and try to force that turnover that becomes the difference in the game?
Yeah, I think one of the big matchups on both sides is going to be Bosa against, Jack Conklin if he's lined up on that side, or Jed Wills, or whoever starts in place of Jed Wills on the left side. And for us, it's going to be Miles Clowney and Takk McKinley, probably whichever one's lined up over Storm Norton. And that's going to be that pressure. That's the thing, what Bosa said, and he got a lot of flack for this, Money, and I thought I was kind of surprised by it. He said, look, when you hit a quarterback, and he was talking about Carr specifically, and get pressure on them, they're not as good. That's kind of much a truism about any quarterback in the league.
Look, it's so strange. I've not been around Derek Carr a lot, but he seems like he should be a really likable guy. But, man, he has these moments that just drive you crazy. And it's like, God, can you just walk away? You don't have to try to prove yourself on every freaking insult that's slung your way or slight that you feel has been directed at you. He should have just let it go, because you know what? Joey was spot on. And it's not like he did it with any malice. He was just like, look, man, we play this guy twice a year. He's the guy that Joey has sacked more than anyone else in his career. It was his 7th time sacking Derek Carr. And he's just like, that's the recipe. And you saw it play out. Carr comes in averaging, almost over 400 yards per game passing. And he's got the most deep shots in the league. And everybody's talking about how this is a different Derek Carr. He's standing in the pocket. He's waiting for plays to develop. Well, he took a couple shots from Joey, and that all changed. And it became check down Carr again. And that's what the film says when you watch it back, and you're right. Joey took all this flack, and I was like, why? It's a rivalry game. Joey wants to get in his head and let him know, and that thing's going to be a meme of him curling up 2 yards before Christian Covington got. I'm sorry. That's just the way the world works, Derek. I'm surprised, too, that Joey took flack for that.
Matt, thanks so much for jumping on short notice. Appreciate your time today.
Yeah, you got it. And do me a favor, if somehow you can make Miles miss that flight, boy, that'd be great. That would just be that would be awesome.
That'd be helpful. Yeah, I have a feeling you'll be there. I have a feeling you'll be there. Thanks,
yeah.
bud.
Yeah, unfortunately, me too. All right, guys.
Thanks,
Matt Money Smith, voice of the Chargers, joining us on the hotline. There, still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be sure to catch the Kevin Stefanski Show presented by Howard Hanna tonight at 7 on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Coach and Greedy Williams will join the show tonight. That's a fun lineup for you. And that will lead into a fun Thursday night football game as well. You have your arm raised, Gibby.
We'll get to the scores, but I have a gift for you on Thursday.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Little fashion recommendation and a little fashion advice. Danny hit it from one and only the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Nantz.
It's fall now. It's quarter zip season. Give the people some fall dressing tips, Jim. Because I'm wearing a quarter zip because I'm interviewing you. I respect your fashion so much. It's Jim Nantz fashion season. Take us through it, Jim.
Well, I'm a big layer piece anyway, guy. I don't know if you know that I do design clothes in concert with the folks at Vineyard Vines. We have a full golf line. I happen to be, as someone who's lived in Pebble Beach for 10 years, I like wearing a layer piece. So I wear them 12 months a year. This is a little bit more knitted. We've got the suede piping and pull strap here on it. This piece also has a different fabric over the shoulders. I named every single piece after something to do with Pebble Beach. I've got the Carmel polos. I got the Ocean Avenue the Grant layered piece for the 17-mile drive, performance vest. My favorite piece is called the Pescadero, which was the original name of Pebble Beach long, a couple centuries ago. I'm looking at your
It's just Tommy Bahama. It's nothing special.
I'm nothing wrong with that. I'd like to do a little bit more on the pull strap. That's shining on me a little bit in the light.
Oh, wow.
All that chrome, but it's nice.
You're the king of the quarter zip. Getting feedback on the pull string here from you is like getting art tips from Picasso.
What a job out of Kevin. What a job.
That is from Kevin Clark. Slow News Day with Jim Nantz.
So if this is the one wish that I have. That the next time he calls one of our games, which will happen at some point this year.
That's right.
The next time he calls one of our games, that he comes on with us, and that's all we do.
Quarter zip
and Pebble Beach. That's all I want to do.
He's been there for 10 years.
Living at Pebble Beach.
That's right.
For 10 years. The Pescadero. I have a couple of Pescaderos.
Yeah, good Pescadero.
You love a Pescadero.
Of course you do.
Yeah, it's honestly like it hasn't even been quarter zip season yet. Like it's 80.
I'm in a great quarter zip today.
Well, that's fashioned by Coach Stefanski
that's right
there. So you got that. That's a good job. That's amazing. I don't know if you know. What did he say? I don't know if you know this, but I design clothes.
In partnership with Vineyard Vines.
What a life he lives.
Yes, what a life indeed.
What a life. This is a dandy on Thursday Night Football. This is
Remember,
a dandy.
it's Thursday. Remember that, people.
Remember.
It's Thursday.
Rammies. Seahawks.
30 seconds.
Seattle, 40. Rams, 0.
Same. Next level's coming up next.